So in our story of going from a small shop to a lean factory, one of the major things that really slowed us down and had really negative ramifications for production was our chip and coolant management. So in this video, I'm gonna send Nathan to go talk to John. He's my longest serving employee here. It's really gonna show you how we manage our coolant to keep it in pristine condition so that we're making good parts on a regular basis. Now, don't get too caught up in the brands or anything like that. There's lots of different solutions. Look for the principles that we use and the little tips and tricks that we drop into this video.
All right, guys, I'm here with John, and I have a couple questions about how we clean out these machines. I know they're typically maintenance friendly, but there are some steps that I was a little confused on, and one of the areas was how we deal with coolant and cleaning out those sump tanks that are underneath the machines. So I was just wondering, like, since you started here, I know the process has changed a little bit, and we've gotten some equipment to kind of specifically help in that area. And I was just wondering if you could walk us through, first of all, just like how we do that, kind of our methodology and how frequently we clean it out, and then like what tools we use and what that journey's looked like for us.
When I first came here, we all did it the same way. All the shops I'd been at, we take a bucket, 5-gallon bucket, and we have to try and get the coolant out of the machine. So typically on a Haas machine, you have this hose nozzle so you can fill up buckets, take them to a 55-gallon drum, pour them in, bring it back. You might do 2 at a time. Okay. Just so you're, a
little faster.
Yeah, a little faster.
Yeah.
And but on some machines, a lot of machines, they don't have these. Okay. So we would put a bucket up here, get a hose, connect it.
I see.
Turn on the coolant, fill up a bucket, pull it out, and so on. The idea is to, clean your sump, because a lot of chips get down in there, and it gets dirty, and bacteria starts to form, and you just want to clean your tank. And then a lot of times too, just getting all the chips out of the machine or out of the tank will let your coolant last longer.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
So it extends the life, yeah.
Now with this machine that we have, we can suck everything out of the sump and clean it, like real clean. Yeah. So there's nothing in it at all. And we can pump the coolant back in. So we can utilize like how long we use the coolant for. Okay. So we can clean often. We can clean once a week. Yeah. We can clean once every 2 weeks, depending on what we're running, what kind of material we're running. Cast iron.
Okay,
we typically try to do it, depending on how long we're running it. We typically try to clean the tank every other day, or sometimes every day. So now we can suck everything out, and once we get everything clean, we put it back in, determine that the coolant is still good, and keep running it. And we can run the same coolant. Obviously, it goes up and down, like how much you're putting in, how much evaporates. We can use the same coolant for a pretty good long period of time, like 6 months, before we actually get rid of it. Sometimes longer, sometimes shorter, depending on
just how dirty it is.
How much we've run the machine and stuff like that.
Wow, okay, so the new method, it kind of gets rid, or like from a lean standpoint, I guess, it's like there's over processing, just dealing with that constantly.
Yeah, if you can imagine having to walk, 2 5-gallon buckets somewhere, you could trip, you could fall, you can spill it all over the place.
And your machine has to be down while you're waiting for it to all drip out. And
This new machine takes it could take typically a half an hour, 10 minutes, depending on how clean you want to get it. If you want to just suck all the coolant out and all the chips, and then put the coolant back into the tank, then you can do that. It could take 10 minutes.
Yeah, wow.
If you want to clean the tank 100%, then it could take half an hour. It could take longer, it could take shorter.
Awesome. Are there any kind of other tips or tricks, any kind of quirks you've discovered with it, or is it just worked pretty well for the most part?
For the most part, certain materials like the cast iron, it can really turn into mud in there. So what we'll do is we'll put magnets in there, and it'll catch a lot of that stuff, and so we can just pull that out, and it won't run through the sump cleaner.
Okay,
you know? And we put it in a position where where the coolant has to pass it, so it won't go into the pump.
Oh, nice.
You'll get a little bit, obviously, but it'll pass the magnets, and the magnets will catch it before it goes in.
Nice.
To the pump. We have suction and discharge right here, and this is the discharge.
Okay,
so we have it hooked up to this to suck. This is on, and we're just gonna switch it on to suck.
Okay. Nice. So now it's just getting that down in there to get the coolant out.
It's like 30 seconds.
30 seconds, wow, yeah. And you can start to see the metal chips. And then once it gets down to just the chips at the bottom, we're gonna raise it up on our forklift, just so it's a lot easier to work with and we don't spill the coolant everywhere. And then we're gonna actually do that deep clean. Yeah, so you can really see those chips in there.
Yeah, so we'll suck all the coolant out, and we'll suck all the chips out, and we'll clean it the best we can with this, and then we'll discharge the coolant back into the machine to use it.
Okay, awesome. And then this is a trick that we talked about in the last video a little bit, about tilting it to one side so the coolant runs, and then any of those last fine chips will stay, and then it's easier to vacuum it out. So it just helps to drain to one side.
Give it a quick wipe down, and we can suck out the rest of the chips.
So you're just getting any of that 3D gunk that's kind of stuck on the sides there?
And then we'll suck out the rest of the chips. Sometimes we'll clean it really good, like spotless.
Yeah.
But right now we're just gonna clean the sidewalls, suck out the rest of the chips, shoot the coolant back in, and get the machine running.
So now that the sump's been wiped out, cleaned out, we're actually gonna go ahead and swap it over from the suction setting to the discharge setting. That way all of the coolant that's been filtered through this machine, that's caught all the chips and collected them down in there, now that's been strained and filtered, and we're able to just pump it back out right into our sump and use that coolant again.
We'll shut this valve off. Switch this this hose here. Grab our, what looks like a fuel pump. And then the discharge switch is here.
And just like that, you got fresh coolant. And that's quite fast too. So now we're just loosening that lid off there. Nice.
Yeah, so we'll let this dry out, and then we'll empty out the chips once all the coolant drains out of the chips.